Welcome back. A special welcome to our next guest, who I consider to be one of our country's most thoughtful and most clear eyed analysts of the Chinese capabilities to project power and to achieve ultimately their goal of doing so globally as the world's dominant power. His name is Richard Fisher. He is a senior fellow with the International Assessment and Strategy Center. He is also um, a very important author of a book entitled China's Military Modernization Building for Regional and Global Reach. He's also the author of countless articles on various aspects of what the Chinese are up to. Of particular interest to us today is its military space program. And we're going to talk with Rick about that and more. And Rick, it's so good to have you back with us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Frank.
I want to start by just asking you a little bit of a bank shot, if I could, of to discuss, if you can, the Chinese ally, Russia, and its military space program, how it has evolved, and in particular, how it is now affecting in the wake of the Ukraine invasion and our retaliation against Russia for engaging in it, in terms of a potentially mortal threat to the International Space Station. And then we'll get to what it might mean for the Chinese.
Okay, Frank, yes, happy to do that. Russia emerged from the Cold War in 1990 with an already developed counter space capability. They had direct descent from the Earth, anti satellite weapons, and co orbital weapons that would circle the Earth until they caught up with their target and explode or do something to affect the target. And that capability remained through the next 30 years, but in the last decade, Russia has taken to developing these capabilities again. So today, Russia has better direct descent anti satellite weapons and better co orbital weapons. Now, the United States and Russia and many American partners in space are cooperating on the $100 billion International Space Station, or ISS. And the United States spends about $3 to $4 billion a year to support this space station. The Russians, however, are ready to leave it and have been thinking about how to leave it for, I would say, over 15 years. Since the mid 2000s, they've been producing briefings on how to separate the Russian half of the ISS from the American half. And the pressure to do so, however, has come to a real breaking point with Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine and his desire to subordinate all of Europe to Russian control. The director
And
of
there's no
the
question in your mind that is his ultimate objective.
Absolutely. And now we have the director of the Russian space program, Dmitry Rogozin, basically issuing uh, regular threats to leave the ISS. They haven't really interfered in the function of the ISS yet, but the threats are of a nature that it is possible, very possible, that if Vladimir Putin faces a point of desperation in Ukraine where he has a choice, I really need to use nuclear weapons to scare off the Americans and the Europeans from supporting the Ukrainians, or should I turn the International Space Station into a Molotov cocktail and have it crash down on Earth? This is where we are now. And he could elect, in lieu of using nuclear weapons, to crash the International Space Station as a power demonstration.
And how would that be accomplished, Rick? If the Russian half separates, does that mean that the American half is unable to maintain its orbital position?
Well, Frank, it would be very, very simple to do this. Uh, first evacuate the Russians in one Soyuz space capsule, and then send up another Soyuz space capsule to simply fire its rockets to put the International Space Station into an uncontrollable spin. That would very quickly break the space station. It's a robust structure, but uh,
Not designed for spinning.
yeah, not designed for spinning and maneuvering. And it would break, and it would take a long time to descend to Earth, and it would create a very large debris field.
Wow. And presumably, if there were no rescue capsule available, there would be a loss of life of those who were not Russians uh, and resident on the space station at the time. No.
Yes, the Russians could very quickly seal off their half. So maybe they will give the Americans and their partners a day or two to evacuate, provided we have the means to evacuate everybody, and then just light off their remaining capsule and break up the station.
Rick, this is a terrifying thought, frankly, and one that I don't know that others have mulled, but it does seem as though, as part of a sort of scorched earth policy that Putin is certainly applying to Ukraine, this may well be something they countenance. We're going to talk, Rick, on the other side of a short break about what this might mean for Russia and China, which has its own international or national space station, I should say, and clearly the ambitions to use it as part of a program of space domination. And there are a few people who have studied this more carefully and I think, again, more thoughtfully than you. And I'm anxious to get your thoughts on, first of all, what the Chinese are up to in this space domain, but also what the Russians might be willing and able to do to help them become the dominant power, both up there and down here on Earth. We'll talk about that and much more with Rick Fisher, the author of China's Military Modernization. Uh, it's all about their global reach. And we'll get into all of this and more on the other side of this short break.